for 2 years to buy us first-class tickets. 2 years! And someone carved a monkey into our seat and you're calling it unfortunate?
Flight attendant arrested after little black girl refuses seat labeled monkey. Ma'am, if your daughter doesn't sit down right now, I will have no choice but to call the captain and have you both removed from this aircraft. My mom is not sitting in a seat with that word written on it. I don't care if we have to stand the entire flight. Sweetheart, you need to calm down and let the adults handle this. I am handling this. My mom can't see what's carved there, but I can. And she's not sitting there. I've been patient with you, but you're holding up this entire flight. Other passengers have places to be. Just sit down already. Show us another seat. Any other seat on this plane. Your seats are 4A and 4B. Those are your assigned seats. First-class seats that most people would be grateful for. Then you need to get your supervisor. Now. Young lady, you need to watch your tone. And you need to do your job. Security can come. I'll wait. What you just heard was an 11-year-old girl protecting her blind mother from a word that has been used as a weapon for centuries. A flight attendant who saw a complaint and decided the real problem wasn't the slur carved into a first-class seat, it was the black child refusing to accept it. But what that flight attendant didn't know was that 11 passengers had their phones out, recording everything. You heard the confrontation. Now you're going to hear the full story, see what was carved into that seat, and witness the moment airport police arrived and chose a side. If you believe a blind woman deserves to fly without being dehumanized, even in first class, especially in first class, and that her child shouldn't have to fight that battle alone, stay until the end. You'll want to see how this ends. Her name was Maya Henderson, 34 years old. A middle school English teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, living in the old Fourth Ward neighborhood with her daughter Amelia, who had just turned 11 2 months earlier. Maya had been blind since she was 28, the result of a progressive condition called retinitis pigmentosa that had stolen her sight gradually over 3 years. She'd been a single mother for 4 years now, ever since her husband Marcus died in a car accident on 85 during an ice storm. The kind of accident that happens in an instant and changes everything forever. But Maya had adapted. Teachers are good at that. She'd learned to navigate her classroom by memory, by sound, by the rhythm of her students' voices. She'd learned to read Braille, to use screen readers, to orient herself in spaces through touch and audio cues. And she'd learned to trust Amelia. Her daughter had become her eyes in ways that went beyond the practical. Amelia had grown up faster than other 11-year-olds. Had learned responsibility and awareness and advocacy in ways most children never have to. This trip to Chicago wasn't a vacation. It was a pilgrimage. They were finally going to visit Marcus's mother, Helena, in person. Maya's mother-in-law. The woman who had raised the man Maya loved, but who had been too ill to travel for years. Too ill to attend Marcus's funeral. Too ill to meet her granddaughter more than a handful of times. But Helena was getting better, the doctors said. Strong enough for visitors now. Strong enough to finally spend real time with Amelia. And Maya had done something she'd never done before. Something she'd saved for 2 years to do. She'd bought first-class tickets. $2,347. For both of them. Round trip. Delta Airlines. First class. It had taken her 2 years of careful saving. $20 here, $50 there. Teaching summer school. Tutoring on weekends. Selling her lesson plans on Teachers Pay Teachers. Every extra dollar went into a savings account labeled Chicago. Because Maya wanted her daughter to experience something special. Wanted Amelia, who'd spent so much of her young life being her mother's eyes and guide and advocate, to feel taken care of for once. To sit in a big leather seat. To be served real meals. To feel, for 3 hours, like the world was treating them well. And Maya wanted to arrive at Helena's house with dignity. Wanted to walk off that plane not exhausted from being squeezed into economy, not anxious from navigating tight spaces she couldn't see, but refreshed. Treated well. Worthy. First class wasn't just about comfort. It was about respect. It was about claiming space in a world that often made blind people feel like inconveniences. It was about showing Amelia that they deserved the best, not just the cheapest. Maya had never flown first class before. Had never thought she could afford it. But for this trip, for Helena, for Amelia, she'd done it. She'd chosen seats 4A and 4B specifically. Front of first class. Window and middle. The flight attendant at booking had assured her these were the best seats on the plane. That Tuesday morning, Amelia wore her favorite outfit. A lavender cardigan over a white shirt and jeans. She'd picked it out herself the night before, described it to Maya so her mother would know. Purple was Grandma Helena's favorite color. Amelia wanted to look perfect. She'd made a card too, construction paper folded in half with a drawing of a grandmother and a girl holding hands under a rainbow. Inside, in her careful 11-year-old handwriting that was starting to look more grown-up, "Dear Grandma Helena, I can't wait to finally spend time with you. I have so many stories to tell you. Love, Amelia." They arrived at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport 2 hours early. Maya believed in buffers. Believed in being prepared. Amelia guided her mother through the terminal, her hand on Maya's elbow, narrating everything. "There's a family with a stroller to our left. Coffee stand coming up on the right. Smells like hazelnut. Gate signs overhead. We're in Concourse B, need to get to C." Amelia had been excited all morning. "Mom, we're flying first class. We've never done that before." "I know, baby. You deserve it. We both do. Are the seats really that much better?" "That's what everyone says. You'll have to tell me all about it." It was supposed to be a simple trip. A good memory. The kind Amelia would remember forever. The time she and her mom flew first class to meet Grandma Helena. The time her mother saved for 2 years to give them something special. She would remember it forever. Just not the way Maya had planned. Tuesday morning at Hartsfield-Jackson has a particular energy. Business travelers pulling roller bags with the efficiency of people who've done this 1,000 times. Families corralling children who are simultaneously excited and terrified. The smell of Starbucks mixing with Cinnabon mixing with recycled air that's been breathed by 10,000 people before you. Gate announcements echoing over each other. The constant beeping of golf carts transporting elderly passengers. The shuffle and slide of shoes through security. Maya and Amelia went through security smoothly. Amelia narrated each step for her mother. "Okay, Mom, bags on the belt. Now walk forward to the metal detector. Wait for the signal. They go through. Good, we're clear." The TSA agents were professional, efficient. One asked if Maya needed assistance. She smiled. "I have the best assistants right here," she said, squeezing Amelia's shoulder. They had time, so they had breakfast at a gateside cafe. One of those generic airport restaurants with overpriced everything and fluorescent lighting. Amelia described the menu to Maya, who chose a bagel and coffee. Amelia got pancakes. "They're shaped like Mickey Mouse, Mom. The ears are a little lopsided but they're cute." She described every bite to her mother, made her laugh with commentary about the tourist family at the next table wearing matching Disney shirts. Maya took out her phone, used the camera app that had audio description features. Amelia positioned it for a selfie. "Okay, we're both in frame. You look beautiful. Your hair is perfect." Maya smiled wide. They took the photo. Amelia texted it to Maya's sister with the caption, "First class to Cheetown." Her aunt replied with 3 heart emojis and, "Fancy. Give Helena my love." Gate C12. Boarding started at 9:15 in the morning. Flight 2847 to Chicago O'Hare. The monitor above the gate desk showed, "On time," in green letters, though Maya couldn't see it. Amelia read it aloud. "We're on time. Gate C12, boarding starts in 10 minutes. And we're Zone 1, Amelia added, looking at their boarding passes with barely contained excitement. "We board first. Before everyone else." Maya smiled. "That's what first class means, baby." When Zone 1 was called, they were among the first 6 passengers down the jet bridge. Amelia guided Maya with practiced ease. Slight slope downward. Carpet texture changing to metal grating. Almost to the door. "It smells different here," Maya said. "That's the jet fuel and airplane smell," Amelia explained. "Kind of metallic. You'll get used to it." They stepped onto the aircraft. The flight attendant at the door smiled at them. A woman in her late 40s with auburn hair pulled back in a perfect bun. Her name tag said Patricia Hendricks. Welcome aboard. First class is immediately to your left. Thank you, Amelia said, guiding her mother into the cabin. The first-class cabin was nearly empty. They were among the first to board. Amelia's eyes went wide. Mom, these seats are huge. Like actual armchairs. There's so much space between each row. Maya smiled. Tell me everything. Okay, we're in row 4. Seats A and B. The leather's like butter. Dark blue. There's a pillow and a blanket at each seat. The tray tables look fancy. Everything looks so clean and new. They found their seats. 4A and 4B. Window and middle. Amelia helped her mother navigate to the middle seat first so she could get settled. Okay, Mom, seat 4B is right here. Let me just check everything before you sit. This was their routine. Amelia always checked spaces for her mother first. Made sure there were no obstacles, nothing that would trip her, nothing unexpected. Amelia reached for the tray table to make sure it was properly stowed. And that's when she saw it. Carved into the wide, premium tray table at seat 4A, the first-class window seat Maya would never see, crude but unmistakable, scratched deep enough that Amelia could feel the grooves when her fingers touched it. The word monkey. Capital letters. Uneven. About 3 inches tall. With an arrow underneath pointing upward toward the seat. Toward whoever would sit there. Not written in pen or marker. Carved. Someone had taken something sharp, a key, a knife, something with a point, and deliberately, intentionally, with purpose and time and effort, gouged that word into the expensive tray table. This wasn't a moment of impulse. This took minutes. This took intention. This took hate. In first class. Where Maya had saved for 2 years to afford. Where they were supposed to be treated with dignity. Where people paid thousands of dollars for respect. Someone had carved that word there anyway. Amelia's stomach dropped. She stared at the word, her 11-year-old mind reeling. Her mother had saved for 2 years. 2 years. Had denied herself things, had worked extra jobs, had counted every dollar just to buy them these seats. These expensive, first class, supposed to be special seats. And someone had carved hate into them. Amelia? What's wrong? Maya's voice was concerned. She'd heard her daughter go quiet. Amelia looked at her mother, already settling into seat 4B, unable to see the word carved into the window seat beside her. The seat that was supposed to be Amelia's. The window seat her mother had specifically chosen so Amelia could look out and describe the clouds. Amelia's hands were shaking. Mom, don't get comfortable. There's something wrong with the seats. What do you mean, baby? Is something broken? Amelia's voice cracked. There's a racial slur carved into the window seat. Into your tray table, seat 4A. Maya went very still. What kind of slur? The word, monkey, with an arrow pointing at the seat. Amelia's voice was getting louder now, anger mixing with hurt. Mom, you saved for 2 years. 2 years for these seats. And someone carved that word into them. The few other first-class passengers who'd boarded were starting to notice. A businessman across the aisle glanced over, saw Amelia's face, looked concerned. Maya's jaw tightened. Amelia watched emotions cross her mother's face. Shock, anger, hurt, and that particular kind of exhausted fury that came from dealing with racism over and over. Are you sure, baby? Describe it exactly. It's carved deep, Mum. Like someone really wanted it to be permanent. The letters are big. About 3 inches. I can feel the grooves. It says monkey with an arrow pointing up at the seat. Your seat. The one you paid for. Maya's hand found the call button. Pressed it. Her voice was controlled but Amelia could hear the tremor underneath. We need a flight attendant. Amelia stayed standing between her mother and that seat. Between her mother and that word. Her heart was pounding. This was first class. They'd paid extra. They'd saved for 2 years. And someone had still done this. Patricia Hendricks appeared almost immediately. First class got fast service. Yes, how can I help? Maya spoke before Amelia could. There's a racial slur carved into the tray table at seat 4A. We need to be moved immediately. Patricia's professional smile flickered. I'm sorry, what? Look at the tray table, Amelia said, her voice hard. The window seat. Look at what someone carved into it. Patricia leaned in, pulled down the tray table at 4A. Saw the word. And her expression did something Amelia would never forget. It didn't show shock or disgust or anger. It showed inconvenience. Like this was just another problem to solve. Another complaint to handle. I see, Patricia said slowly. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Amelia's voice was rising. My mom saved for 2 years to buy us first-class tickets. 2 years. And someone carved a slur into her seat and you're calling it unfortunate. Patricia's eyes narrowed slightly at Amelia's tone. Young lady, I understand you're upset, but… We need different seats, Maya interrupted. Immediately. Within first class. We paid for first-class service. Patricia pulled out her tablet, tapped at the screen. Let me check availability. 30 seconds of silence. Then, first class is fully booked. Every seat is occupied. Then move us to economy and refund the difference, Maya said. I'm not sitting next to a racial slur. Ma'am, I'm not authorized to process refunds in flight. You'd need to contact customer service after. So your solution is what? Amelia interrupted. We just sit here? My mom paid $2,000 for these seats and you're telling her to sit next to that word. Patricia's voice took on an edge. The tray table folds up. You don't have to look at it during the flight. The businessman across the aisle made a sound. Are you serious? Patricia ignored him. Ma'am, the flight is full. These are your assigned seats. I suggest you find a solution, Maya said, her voice steel. Because my daughter is not sitting in a seat with a slur carved into it. And I'm not sitting next to one. Then I suggest you take a later flight, Patricia said. The professional mask was slipping now. Irritation bleeding through. The next flight isn't until tonight, Maya said. My mother-in-law is 81 and in hospice care. We're expected. Then I suggest you make a choice, Patricia said. Your assigned seats or deplane. Amelia felt something fierce and protective surge through her. Get your supervisor. Patricia looked down at her. Excuse me? You heard me. Get your supervisor. Now. Patricia's face flushed. Young lady, you need to watch your tone with me. And you need to do your job, Amelia shot back. My mom is blind. She saved for 2 years, to buy us first-class tickets so we could fly comfortably, so she could feel respected, so she wouldn't have to struggle through a cramped economy cabin she can't see to navigate. And you're telling her to sit next to a racial slur or get off the plane. Supervisor. The businessman across the aisle stood up. I'll switch seats with them. They can have my seat and I'll take the one with the slur. Patricia turned to him sharply. Sir, passengers cannot trade seats in first class without gate agent authorization. Then get the gate agent, he said. We've closed the jet bridge. The gate agent is gone. Patricia's voice was getting tighter. Sir, please sit down. This is ridiculous, a woman 2 rows back said. She was African American, maybe mid-50s, wearing an expensive suit. That child shouldn't have to fight this hard. Just move them. Ma'am, the flight is fully booked. You keep saying that like it's an answer, the woman said. Figure it out. More passengers were boarding now, filling up first class. They were starting to notice the commotion. Starting to whisper. Starting to pull out phones. Patricia pulled out her phone, pressed it to her ear. Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. This is Flight Attendant Hendricks, Flight 2847. I need security to Gate C12. I have passengers refusing to comply with crew member instructions and causing a disturbance in the first-class cabin. Maya's hand found Amelia's. Squeezed. Baby, are you sure about this? Amelia looked at her mother. At her beautiful, strong, blind mother who'd worked so hard to give them this experience. Who'd saved for 2 years. Who deserved better. I'm sure, Mum. You're not sitting there. I don't care who they call. Another flight attendant appeared, younger, blonde, looking concerned. This was Sarah Mitchell. She whispered something urgent to Patricia. Patricia waved her off dismissively. The businessman who'd offered his seat spoke up again. I'm a corporate attorney. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to forcibly remove a blind woman and her child from first-class seats they paid for because someone vandalized the aircraft. The liability alone. Sir, this is not your concern, Patricia said. I'm making it my concern. The African-American woman in row 6 stood up. I'm recording this. Everyone should record this. Multiple phones came up. At least 6 passengers in first class alone. Patricia's jaw clenched. Passengers are not permitted to film crew members without consent. I'm filming a public incident on public transportation, the woman said. Supreme Court says that's completely legal. So keep going. Please. Keep telling this blind woman and her daughter that they have to sit next to a slur or get off the plane. This is going to look great on the news. Amelia stayed standing. Stayed between her mother and that seat. Her legs were shaking but she didn't move. Maya's voice was quiet but firm. Amelia, we can take the next flight if we need to. No. Amelia's voice was strong. Grandma Helena is waiting. You paid for these seats. You saved for 2 years. And you deserve to sit in first class without hate carved into it. We're not leaving. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Baby, you're so brave. I learned from you. For minutes passed. The longest 4 minutes. More passengers boarding, seeing the standoff, some filming, some whispering, some looking uncomfortable. Then, heavy footsteps in the jet bridge. 2 airport security officers appeared at the cabin door. Officer James Cole and Officer Rebecca Tran. Mid-40s and early 30s. Cole was a tall black man with graying temples and a weathered face. Tran was Asian American, shorter, with sharp, assessing eyes. Patricia moved toward them immediately, her posture straightening. Thank you for coming. These passengers have refused to comply with crew instructions and are delaying our departure. The child has been particularly disruptive. Officer Cole's eyes moved past Patricia to Maya and Amelia. He saw a blind woman with her hand on her daughter's shoulder. He saw an 11-year-old girl standing her ground in first class. He saw at least 6 phones recording. His expression was neutral, but his eyes were taking in everything. What's the situation? They're refusing to sit in their assigned first-class seats, Patricia said. They're claiming there's an issue with. There's a racial slur carved into my mother's tray table, Amelia interrupted, her voice clear and strong. She's blind, so she can't see it, but I can. We asked to be moved. She said the flight is full. She told us to fold the tray table up and ignore it. We said no. Officer Tran's eyebrows rose. In first class. In first class, Amelia confirmed. The seats my mother saved for 2 years to afford. Both officers' expressions shifted. Can we see it? Cole asked. Amelia stepped aside, gestured to seat 4A. Officer Tran moved forward, pulled down the tray table. Stared at the carved word. Ran her finger over the grooves. This is deep, she said. Someone spent time on this. Officer Cole leaned in, pulled out his phone, took several photographs. Close-ups of the word. Wide shots showing the seat number. The first-class cabin. Evidence. He straightened, looked at Patricia. His voice was very calm. Very controlled. You told a blind passenger who paid for first class to sit next to this? The flight is fully booked, Patricia said. I offered alternative solutions. What alternatives? Tran asked. Specifically. They could fold the tray table. They could take a later flight. Those aren't alternatives, Cole said. Those are telling her to accept it or leave. The businessman across the aisle spoke up. I offered to switch seats. She said it wasn't allowed. Officer Tran turned to Patricia. Why didn't you allow that? Seat switches in first class require gate agent authorization. Did you try to get authorization? Cole pressed. Silence. Did you ask any other passengers if they'd be willing to switch? More silence. Officer Tran looked at Amelia. How old are you, sweetheart? 11. And you've been standing here defending your mom this whole time? Amelia nodded, her voice cracking slightly. She can't see it. Someone had to. Tran looked at Patricia. Her voice was cold. An 11-year-old child has been doing your job for you. In first class, where passengers pay premium prices for premium service. Patricia's face flushed. I was attempting to handle a difficult situation. By calling security on a blind woman and her child? Cole interrupted. That was your handling? They were refusing to comply. With sitting under a racial slur, Tran finished. In seats they paid $2,000 for. I'd refuse too. A woman's voice from economy class, which was now boarding. What's the holdup up there? The African-American woman in row 6 called back. Flight attendant trying to force a blind woman to sit under a racial slur. We're filming it. Murmurs throughout the plane. More phones coming out. Officer Cole looked at Patricia. Get the captain. Patricia's eyes widened. The captain is running pre-flight checks. Get the captain, Cole repeated. His voice was flat. Final. Now. Hit subscribe if you believe that paying more money should never mean accepting more racism, and that first-class tickets should come with first-class dignity. Drop a comment. Have you ever witnessed discrimination in an airport or on a plane? What happened? Patricia's face went pale. For the first time, she looked uncertain. She glanced at the phones recording her, at the passengers watching, at the officers who clearly weren't on her side. Then she turned and disappeared into the cockpit. 30 seconds passed. The entire first-class cabin was silent. Even the economy passengers boarding had gone quiet, sensing something serious was happening. The cockpit door opened. Captain David Morrison emerged. Late 50s. Salt and pepper hair. Uniform crisp and perfect. The kind of presence that commanded immediate respect. He looked at the officers, at Patricia hovering behind him, at Maya and Amelia, at the phones recording. Officers, what's the situation? Officer Tran gestured to seat 4A. Captain, you need to see this. Morrison walked forward. Amelia stepped aside so he could see. He leaned in, pulled down the tray table. And his face went through a transformation. Disgust, anger, and something that looked like personal offense. He straightened slowly. Looked at the seat number. For a first class. Premium seats. His aircraft. Who found this? His voice was very quiet. I did, Amelia said. I was checking the seat for my mom before she sat down. She's blind. She can't see it. Morrison turned to Maya. Ma'am, how much did you pay for these seats? $2,347, Maya said quietly. Round trip. Both of us. I saved for 2 years. Morrison closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his jaw was set. He turned to Patricia. Why wasn't I informed of this immediately? I was attempting to resolve the passenger complaint. By telling her what? Morrison's voice was getting harder. That she should accept this? That she should fold the tray table and pretend it's not there? The flight is fully booked, Captain. I explained the constraints. Did you offer vouchers for passengers to take a later flight? Silence. Did you ask for volunteers to switch seats? More silence. Did you contact me immediately about vandalism in my first-class cabin? Patricia's face was red now. I was trying to maintain the departure schedule by calling security on a blind woman and her 11-year-old daughter. Morrison's voice was ice. In first class. That they paid over $2,000 for. He turned to face the cabin. Raised his voice so everyone could hear. First class, economy, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for this delay. We have a serious maintenance issue that should have been caught during our pre-flight inspection. This is unacceptable and does not reflect Delta's standards. I need volunteers willing to switch to a later flight in exchange for a $1,000 travel voucher and 2 first-class tickets anywhere Delta flies domestically. 3 hands went up immediately. The businessman across the aisle was one of them. Thank you, Morrison said. Please see the gate agent as you deplane. You'll be rebooked within the hour. He turned back to Maya and Amelia. His voice gentled completely. Ma'am, what's your name? Maya Henderson. This is my daughter, Amelia. Morrison knelt down to Amelia's level. Amelia, I want to thank you. What you did today, standing up for your mom, refusing to accept what should never have been offered, that took real courage. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. She saved for 2 years, sir. 2 years. And someone carved that word anyway. I know, Morrison said quietly. And that's not acceptable. Not in economy. Not in first class. Not anywhere on my aircraft. He stood, addressed Maya. Mrs. Henderson, I'm going to personally ensure you're moved to different first-class seats. And when you land in Chicago, my regional manager will meet you to discuss full compensation and our formal apology. Thank you, Maya whispered. Morrison turned to Patricia. And everyone in the cabin could see what was coming. Miss Hendricks, you're done. Patricia's eyes widened. Captain, I was following protocol. You called security on passengers who paid premium prices for premium service because someone vandalized my aircraft and you couldn't be bothered to find a real solution. Morrison's voice was cold. That's not protocol. That's a failure of basic human decency. I've been with Delta for 23 years. And in 23 years, you never learned that a passenger's dignity, especially a disabled passenger's dignity, is more important than a departure time. He turned to Officer Cole. Officers, please escort Ms. Hendricks off the aircraft. Captain, you can't? I can and I am. Sarah will take over as head flight attendant for this flight. Sarah, who'd been standing near the galley looking horrified, jumped when her name was called. Yes, Captain. Patricia looked around the cabin desperately. At the passengers watching with phones still recording. At Maya sitting quietly with Amelia's hand in hers. At the officers waiting to escort her out. She had no allies. No one was defending her. The entire first-class cabin had witnessed what she'd done. She straightened her vest with shaking hands, lifted her chin, and walked toward the exit. Officer Cole and Officer Tran flanked her. As she passed Amelia, their eyes met. Patricia's face was a mask of humiliation and anger. Amelia looked right back, 11 years old but with eyes that had fought a battle and won. Patricia looked away first. The cabin erupted in applause as she disappeared into the jet bridge. Spontaneous. Sustained. The woman in row 6 was clapping with tears streaming down her face. The businessman was clapping. Even economy passengers who'd only heard bits of the confrontation were clapping. Amelia felt her mother's hand squeeze hers. They're clapping. Everyone's clapping. For you, baby, Maya whispered. They're clapping for you. For both of us, Amelia corrected. Captain Morrison gestured to the businessman who'd volunteered his seat. Sir, thank you for your willingness to help. You won't be taking a later flight, you'll keep your seat. Mrs. Henderson and Amelia, you'll be moving to seats 1A and 1B. Front row of first class. The best seats on the aircraft. Mom, he's moving us to the very first row, Amelia translated. Right behind the cockpit. Maya nodded, overwhelmed. Thank you, Captain. Morrison personally helped them gather their things and move to row 1. The seats were even larger than row 4. More space. More privacy. Amelia helped her mother settle in, then checked the new seats thoroughly. The tray tables. The armrests. The seat pockets. Everything. All clear. No words. No hatred. She sat down next to her mother, suddenly exhausted. Morrison leaned in. Amelia, your mother saved for 2 years to give you both this experience. I'm going to make sure it's the experience she intended. Sarah will take exceptional care of you. And when you land, everything will be handled. Thank you, Amelia said softly. Morrison straightened, made an announcement to the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're going to finish boarding and push back shortly. To the passengers who witnessed this incident and stood up to support your fellow travelers, thank you. That's the kind of humanity that makes flying worthwhile. More applause. The rest of the boarding process went quickly. Sarah personally attended to Maya and Amelia, bringing them both champagne, sparkling cider for Amelia. Compliments of the captain, she said softly. And I'm so sorry for what you experienced. The woman from row 6 stopped by their seats. I'm Dr. Angela Williams. I just want you to know, what you did today matters. What you both did. I've been flying for 30 years and I've seen too much of this. But I've never seen anyone stand up like that. You're both warriors. Thank you, Maya said. After Dr. Williams left, Amelia leaned close to her mother. Mom, are you okay? Maya was quiet for a moment. I'm hurt, baby. I'm angry. I saved for 2 years. Worked so hard to give us something special. And someone carved that word anyway. Like no amount of money, no amount of success, no amount of trying makes us worthy of sitting in first class without being dehumanized. I know, Amelia whispered. I'm sorry, Mom. Don't you dare apologize. You fought for me. You stood up when I couldn't see to stand up myself. Maya's voice cracked. You're the bravest person I know. The plane pushed back from the gate 20 minutes late. The engines roared to life. Sarah went through the safety demonstration, giving Maya and Amelia extra attention, making sure Maya understood everything through audio description. The aircraft taxied toward the runway, joined the queue for takeoff. Amelia held her mother's hand as the plane accelerated down the runway. Okay, Mom, we're speeding up. Really fast now. You can feel it. Any second now, wheels are off. We're flying. Maya smiled despite everything. Tell me what you see. The airport's getting smaller. All the planes on the ground look like toys. The buildings are shrinking. Oh, going through clouds now. They're gray and thick. Can barely see anything. Wait, almost through this. We're above them. What do they look like? Amelia pressed her face to the window. Like mountains made of cotton. White and puffy, and they go on forever. The sun is hitting them and they're so bright. It's beautiful. That's what I wanted, Maya said softly. For you to see beautiful things. They flew north toward Chicago. Toward Grandma Helena. Amelia described everything. The wing cutting through air, the shadow of their plane on the clouds below, the way the sky got deeper blue the higher they went. Sarah brought them lunch. Real lunch, not snacks. Salad and chicken and warm bread. Described each item for Maya. Treated them like first-class passengers deserved to be treated. About an hour into the flight, Captain Morrison's voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. I want to address what happened during boarding. Delta Airlines has zero tolerance for discrimination of any kind. The vandalism discovered in our first-class cabin was unacceptable. The response to that vandalism was unacceptable. I have filed formal reports with both Delta management and the FAA. The aircraft will be taken out of service upon landing for complete interior inspection and replacement of damaged components. And to Mrs. Henderson and Amelia, thank you for your courage and your patience. You deserve better, and Delta will do better. The cabin applauded again. Amelia looked at her mother. He's really on our side, Mom. Not everyone is against us, baby. Remember that. Even when it feels like it. Eventually Amelia fell asleep, exhausted from the adrenaline, from being 11 and having to be strong. Her head rested on her mother's shoulder. Maya stayed awake. She couldn't see the clouds her daughter had described, but she could picture them. Could imagine the white mountains. Could feel the sun through the window. And she thought about what had happened. About saving for 2 years only to find hatred anyway. About her daughter having to fight battles an 11-year-old shouldn't have to fight. About how easily this could have gone differently. But it hadn't. Because Amelia had stood up. Because passengers had recorded it. Because a captain had done the right thing. 3 hours later, they landed in Chicago. Grandma Helena was waiting at baggage claim with Maya's sister, Janet. The moment Amelia saw them, she ran. Helena caught her, held her tight. Long enough that other passengers had to walk around them. Long enough that Maya, guided by Janet, found them by sound. Let me look at you, Helena said, holding Amelia at arm's length. My goodness, you're so grown. So beautiful. I missed you, Grandma. I missed you more. Maya hugged her mother-in-law, breathing in her lavender perfume. Helena. Maya, sweetheart. I'm so glad you're here. They retrieved their bags. Janet noticed Maya was quiet, Amelia too. Everything okay? Not here, Maya said quietly. I'll tell you later. But in the car, Amelia's composure cracked. Someone carved a racial slur into Mom's first-class seat. The seat she saved 2 years to buy. And the flight attendant told us to fold the tray table and ignore it or get off the plane. Helena's face went pale. What? Janet pulled the car over. Tell me everything. So Amelia told the story. Every detail. The word carved in the tray table. Patricia's dismissiveness. The security call. The captain's intervention. Patricia being escorted off. The applause. By the end, Helena was crying. You saved for 2 years, she whispered to Maya. 2 years to give yourselves something special. And they did that to you. But the captain fixed it, Amelia added quickly. He moved us. He made Patricia leave. He said Delta would do better. That child shouldn't have had to fight that fight, Janet said, looking at Amelia in the rearview mirror. But I did, Amelia said simply. Because Mom couldn't see to fight it herself. They drove to Helena's house in Oak Park. Had dinner. Tried to find normalcy. Helena showed Amelia photos of Marcus as a child, describing each one in detail so Maya could picture them. Amelia showed Helena the card she'd made. But the day had cast a shadow. They were all exhausted. Not just from travel. From trauma. Maya's phone had been buzzing all evening. She'd kept it silenced during dinner. Finally, Janet said, Maya, you need to check that. Maya used her screen reader to go through messages. 17 from her principal. 30 from friends. Text after text saying, Are you okay? And I saw the video, and this is all over the news. What video? Maya asked. Janet took the phone, opened Twitter. Oh my God. Maya. You're everywhere. The video had been posted by Dr. Williams from row 6. Posted within an hour of landing. The footage was crystal clear. You could see everything. The carved slur in the first-class tray table, Patricia's dismissiveness, Amelia's face as she stood her ground, the security officers arriving, the captain's intervention, Patricia being escorted off. The caption, 11-year-old girl protects her blind mother after Delta flight attendant tells them to sit under racial slur in first class or get off plane. They paid $2,347 for those seats. This child is a hero. Thread. The thread included photos of the tray table close-up, screenshots of the ticket receipt showing the price, video of the applause when Patricia left. 8 million views in 6 hours. Janet read through the responses. Thousands of comments. Most supportive. Some horrible. But the overwhelming tide was rage. Rage that this happened in first class. Rage that a blind woman had to experience this. Rage that an 11-year-old had to fight so hard. Rage that someone carved that word in a premium seat. Hashtag Delta discrimination was trending #1. The video had been picked up by every major news outlet. CNN, MSNBC, local stations, national stations, international stations. 11-year-old defends blind mother from racial slur in first-class seat was everywhere. Delta had posted a statement at 7 p.m. We are aware of an incident on Flight 2847 and are conducting a thorough investigation. Delta has zero tolerance for discrimination of any kind. The crew member involved has been terminated effective immediately, and the passengers will be fully compensated. We have also removed the aircraft from service for complete interior inspection. Terminated. Not placed on leave. Terminated. Patricia Hendricks, 23 years with Delta, fired within hours. The comments were divided. Most supported the decision. Some claimed Patricia was being scapegoated. But the video was clear. There was no ambiguity. 3 months passed. Delta's compensation was significant. Full refund of the tickets. $25,000 in compensatory damages. Lifetime Diamond Medallion status for both Maya and Amelia, the highest tier, reserved for customers who fly hundreds of thousands of miles. Access to Delta Sky Clubs worldwide. Upgrades on every flight. A personal letter from Delta's CEO apologizing. A commitment to mandatory disability and discrimination training for all flight crew. New protocols for responding to aircraft vandalism. More frequent and thorough inspections. Maya donated half the money to the National Federation of the Blind and the NAACP. Kept the rest in savings. The diamond status felt hollow. She wasn't sure she wanted to fly Delta again. Wasn't sure she wanted to fly at all. Because something had broken in her that day. She'd saved for 2 years. 2 years of sacrifice and careful budgeting and extra work. 2 years of planning. 2 years of looking forward to treating herself and her daughter well. To claiming space. To feeling worthy. And someone had carved hate into that space anyway. Had marked it as not for her. Had made clear that no amount of money, no first-class ticket, no disabled person status could protect her from being seen as less than. That hurt more than anything. The knowledge that she could do everything right, save money by the expensive seats, arrive early, follow every rule, and still be told to sit under a slur or leave. Amelia had nightmares. Dreams where she stood in that aisle and nobody listened. Dreams where security took her mother away. Dreams where she wasn't brave enough and her mother had to accept the hate. She started therapy. A black woman who specialized in childhood trauma and racism. Who helped her process the weight of what she carried. Who told her it was okay to have been scared. Okay to still be angry. Okay to need help carrying it. One night, 3 months after the flight, Maya woke to find Amelia in the kitchen at 2 a.m. Baby? Can't sleep? I keep thinking about it, Amelia said quietly. About how much you saved. 2 years. And someone carved that word anyway. Like it didn't matter. Like we didn't matter. Maya felt her way to the table, sat down, found Amelia's hand. I know, sweetheart. Do you regret it? Buying those tickets? Maya was quiet for a long moment. I regret that we had to experience what we did. I regret that you had to fight that fight. I regret that even in first class, even with money, even with everything we did right, we weren't safe from hate. But do you regret buying the tickets? No, Maya said firmly. Because you stood up. Because passengers stood with us. Because a captain did the right thing. Because the world saw what happened and most people said, this is wrong. That matters, Amelia. It doesn't erase the hurt. But it matters. That lady lost her job, Amelia whispered. 23 years. Because of me. No, Maya said sharply. Not because of you. Because of her choices. She chose to dismiss us. Chose to call security instead of finding solutions. Chose to protect a schedule over a passenger's dignity. Those were her choices. But if I hadn't stood up, then we would have sat next to that slur for 3 hours. And she would have kept her job. And nothing would have changed. And the next blind passenger, the next black passenger, the next person who needed her to care would have been treated the same way. Maya squeezed Amelia's hand. You stopped that. You stood up not just for me, but for everyone who comes after us. Amelia was crying now. It's so hard, Mom. Being brave is so hard. I know, baby. God, I know. They sat together in the dark kitchen for a long time. Hit subscribe if you think first-class tickets should come with first-class humanity, and if you believe that sometimes the bravest people are the smallest ones. Comment below, what would you have done as a passenger on that flight? Be honest. 6 months later, they flew again. Different airline. United this time. But they flew. Amelia checked every surface before her mother sat down. Would probably check every surface for the rest of her life. But the seats were clean. No words. No hate. A year later, Amelia wrote about the experience for her 7th grade English class. Her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, read it with tears in her eyes and asked permission to submit it to a national writing contest. It won first place in the middle school division. The essay was titled Being My Mother's Eyes. It told the whole story, the 2 years of saving, the excitement of first class, the word carved in the tray table, the fight, the resolution. But it ended with something that made Maya cry when Amelia read it aloud. My mom taught me to read. She taught me to see the world through words, through description, through stories. But that day on the plane, I had to be her eyes in a different way. I had to see the hatred she couldn't see and fight it. I had to stand between her and what shouldn't be there at all. I was 11. I was scared. The flight attendant was an adult with authority and I was just a kid. But I learned something that day. Being someone's eyes means more than describing what's there. It means protecting them from what shouldn't be there. It means being brave when they can't see the danger. It means refusing to fold up the tray table and pretend the words don't exist. Because the words are always there, somewhere. In tray tables. In systems. In people's assumptions about who belongs in first class and who doesn't. We just choose whether to accept them or fight them. My mom saved for 2 years to give us something special. Someone tried to take that from us. But we didn't let them. And I'd make that choice again. Every single time. Because my mom deserves to fly in first class without hate. And so does everyone else. Maya had that essay framed. Hung it in her classroom. Read it to her students every year on the first day of school. This is what bravery looks like, she'd tell them. This is what standing up means. This is why words matter. This is why silence is complicity. This is why an 11-year-old shouldn't have to fight these battles, but sometimes children see more clearly than adults. The video stayed online. 8 million became 40 million. The story cycled through the news and faded. Other injustices took its place. Other viral moments. Other hashtags. But Amelia Henderson kept being brave. Kept being her mother's eyes. Kept refusing to fold up tray tables and pretend words didn't matter. And Maya Henderson kept teaching. Kept raising a daughter who'd learned too young that the world wasn't fair but fought anyway. Kept being grateful for an 11-year-old who'd stood in a first-class cabin and said no. They still have the Delta Diamond status. Maya uses it sometimes, when she has to fly Delta for work. Every time, flight attendants recognize her name. Treat her with extra care. Extra attention. Like they're making up for what happened. It's nice. But it's also exhausting. Being recognized. Being that woman from the video. Having to carry the weight of representation every time she flies. Sometimes Maya wishes she'd just taken the economy seats. Saved the money. Avoided the whole thing. But then she looks at Amelia, 15 now, confident, strong, still fighting for what's right, and she knows it mattered. Because Amelia learned that day that her voice matters. That standing up works. That being small doesn't mean being powerless. She learned that first class should mean first-class dignity. That paying more shouldn't mean accepting more racism. That her mother deserves respect whether she can see or not. And she learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to fold up the tray table. Refuse to pretend you don't see the words. Refuse to make yourself smaller so others can be more comfortable. The last time they flew first class together, Amelia was 14. They were going to Helena's 80th birthday party. Helena had beaten the hospice prognosis. Was thriving. Wanted to celebrate with her granddaughter who'd grown so strong. Amelia checked the seats thoroughly. All clear. They settled in. Amelia described everything for her mother like she always did. The flight attendant, a young black woman, maybe 25, brought them champagne and sparkling cider. Mrs. Henderson? Amelia, she said quietly. I just want to say, I saw the video. I was in flight attendant training when it happened. They used it in our coursework. As an example of what not to do. But also as an example of what passengers shouldn't have to endure. She paused. You changed how we're trained. You changed the protocols. You made it safer for the next person. So, thank you. After she left, Amelia took her mother's hand. Did you hear that, Mom? I heard. It mattered. What we did. It actually mattered. Maya smiled, tears in her eyes. Of course it mattered, baby. You always mattered. They flew to Helena's party. Celebrated. Took photos. Made memories. And when they flew home, Amelia still checked every surface. Still read every word. Still stood guard for her mother who couldn't see. Because that's what it means to be someone's eyes. Not just describing the beautiful things. But standing between them and the ugly things. Being brave when they can't see the danger. Refusing to fold up the tray table and pretend the words aren't there. The words are always there. In first class. In economy. Carved into surfaces. Written into systems. Embedded in assumptions. But sometimes, if you're lucky, if you're brave, if you're 11 years old and protecting your mother who saved for 2 years for those seats, Sometimes you can fight back. Sometimes you can win. And sometimes, just sometimes, you can change things for everyone who comes after you. If this story moved you, subscribe right now, because these stories need to be told until they don't happen anymore. Final question for you. Do you think first-class tickets should guarantee first-class treatment, or is paying more money never going to protect marginalized people from discrimination? Drop your honest thoughts below. This conversation matters.